Hey everybody, Mike Toy Bonsai Boise. So this wild mess is a pomegranate cutting with those pretty red flowers. And in this video, I'll show you how it started as just a small cutting, and I'll pot it up into a training pot. So let's go back to October of 22. This is my main pomegranate tree. I've done a few videos on it. And I was trimming it up and I was going to repot it that day. And then at the very tippy top here, I think, right there, I thought that branch would make a good cutting. And it did. So it rooted. I put it in water for a while first, and then it rooted. Here it is about a year and a couple months later. Really no footage in between, unfortunately, but I just let it grow. With cuttings, I pretty much just let them grow for the first good while. But there it is in February of 24. And I trimmed it up. And I wasn't sure what kind of soil it was in, because cuttings oftentimes I'll put in like old soil or something. So I wanted to repot it into some new soil. February is maybe not the ideal time to do it, but it is in the grow tent, so kind of get away with it a little bit. Had a lot of roots, and that's just the roots that were left. So got it in new soil. Got a few more cuttings out of it too. Cuttings of cuttings. Which actually, my main tree was also a cutting. The main tree that it came from ended up dying. So these grow really fast. And they're super pretty. Honestly, I love pomegranate trees. They're one of my favorite bonsai trees. Fast forward to November of 24. I've been letting it grow all season. Didn't trim it or anything. I put some kind of weird guy wires in. I'm not sure what I was going for there. I think I was just holding a couple branches down. Kind of like a light guide, more than a, strict wiring. But we'll go ahead and remove that. Whatever I was going for, I think it worked. First thing I'll do is get rid of this really long, low branch right about there. Sure, I'll make cuttings out of that too, and I'll show you kind of how I do it. It's not super scientific. I'll cut right through leaves and everything. I just want to reduce the foliage to a reasonable amount, because you want some on there so that it can grow and produce roots, but not so much that it puts a strain on the non-existent root system to the point that it just dies. So it's kind of a balance, and you win some, you lose some. Just like that. I typically try to put them in water first. I find the success rate is a lot higher if you put them in a cup of water or a bottle of water. And sort of the same thing here. I do them in about this size, 3 or 4 inches, 5 inches, something like that. Like I said, it's not super scientific. I've seen some people grab the trunk and just sort of strip all the leaves off with their fingers, but I don't recommend that, because you can end up just sort of stripping the bark off the trunk too. Or at least I do. So I don't do it that way. A little more styling here. Something I learned about these pomegranates, and I've got a video, I'll post a link for it here. Just a random update I was doing outside one July of 23, I think. And a hummingbird came over and, was sticking his beak in the flowers. And afterward, actual pomegranate fruit grew. And that was the first time that ever happened. So it's kind of an aha moment. Like, oh, I guess that's how they pollinate. Seems obvious now. So, you don't know until you know. Now I know. Anyways, I'm pretty happy with the structure. I've got this little metal pot. I got a few of these pots recently. I did a tiger bark ficus in one recently, and they're kind of cool. I kind of like them. They're deep enough, so for a small tree, it's still got a lot of room for the roots to grow. been in this old training pot now since February of 24, so about 9 months. A lot of roots, and I kept all the roots because, you know, going into winter time, it's kind of a better idea. Something I've been doing more of lately, I have so many small trees in development that if I'm gonna look at a bunch of little trees in development, I may as well look at them in a nice pot. I mean, as you can see, the volume of the pot is about the same as that training pot it was in. So why not? At least now it's more aesthetically pleasing to look at. Got one rogue root there. I'm just using my normal soil mix that I've been using lately. Academa, a little bit academa, pumice, pine bark, perlite, some safety absorb, and some volcanic rock. Give it a good watering. And I only show a little bit of the watering I do. I really rinse it for a while because it's got all the dust particles and stuff, and I just try to rinse all that out as best I can. And also it just helps kind of close up any gaps in there so there's no air pockets. And this is about where I left it that day. This was in November of 24. So it's not a showstopper, but it's on its way. It's got cool movement. I like the structure of it. Everything's correct. As in there's not like a bunch of branches coming out of the same spot. Here just a couple months later, January 10th, it just grew like crazy. So that was about a month and a half, maybe 2 months. That's how much it grew in that amount of time. I find some cuttings do that, and some just do not. It could be 2 cuttings from the same branch. One will just take off and grow like crazy, like you can't hardly slow it down. And the other one just like barely limps along, putting on a couple leaves here, a couple leaves there. I don't know what it is, but it's just what I've noticed. I find these cuttings root the best too, like I was saying, in water first. Even if it's just a week, that makes a difference. Ideally, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks, as long as you're keeping the water. If the water starts to get kind of gross looking, change out the water. That means one of the cuttings probably died. Get rid of that one. But you can also go straight into soil. I do that too. These root about as easily as like a Ficus benjamina or something like that. And these pomegranates love to sprout out 3 branches from the same spot. Kind of like a maple does, where you've got this one branch going out and then 2 branches popping out on each side, which would give you a total of 3. So just pick which ones you want. Typically you want to get rid of the one in the middle as a general rule. Since this one is so healthy and vigorous, I'm going to be a little bit stricter on how far back I prune it. General rule is about 2 pairs of leaves. I go back to about 1 usually. If it was not so healthy, maybe I would do 2, just to give it a little bit of extra room, a little extra foliage. But if you can take it back to 1 set of leaves, it's only going to benefit more in the long run, because then the branches have more movement to them. Every time you prune it, you know, that's now a new direction that branch is going to go. And if you take it back further and further, it's just more movement all throughout the branch. So trying to balance that with the fact that it's January. I do have the advantage of the grow tent though, that affords me the ability to do more than I probably could otherwise. I'm pretty happy with how it's going. Like I said, it's not super thick. It's not show ready or anything. It's nothing to write home about. But it's kind of cool. I definitely look for potential in trees, always. And so when I see potential in a tree, I get a little excited about it. And that's what I see here. Lots of great potential. So this is about the state that I left it in that particular day. That was about 3 weeks ago. There's all the foliage I took off. Quite a bit. Some new cuttings. And I'm happy to say that all those that I put in soil right there, they, for the most part, all survived, even to now. That was 3 weeks ago today. And then right before I went to post this video, I thought, I'll just check on it one more time, see if it's changed up much. So here it is today, 3 weeks later, and look at that. It's grown out quite a bit again. I'll say normally I wouldn't prune it again so soon. I would just let it go. Because I find that doing that can sometimes kind of shock the tree a little bit into stopping its growth. But part of a larger plan, I'm actually going on vacation next week to Hawaii. I'll be gone for a week. I'm trying to reduce the foliage on most of my trees to reduce their dependency for water. So I trimmed it back. But yeah, 3 weeks later, I mean, that's pretty good. So there it is. That's how it looks as of right this moment, as of the day of posting this video, January 31st, 2025. Lots of dense foliage in there, and it's on its way. Let me know what you think, or any ideas you might have. I'd love to hear it. And please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. You can see updates on this and all the other trees. Have a good rest of your day.